Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I mean, every single day I'm being interviewed, and he's watching this press conference right now, seeing, how I'm handling these questions and addressing the answers. And then, of course, he watches us game day and at practice. So, every single day I'm being interviewed, unlike a lot of other guys that are behind the scenes.
We don't live in a cave. I mean, we only get them 20 hours. So the world has them, 100-plus hours. They're not guys that are oblivious to TV shows and all that type of stuff.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Talking Tuesday. Good to have you with us. Coming up, we're going to hear from the head coaches at USC and Clemson, Sean Elliott and Dabo Sweeney. Plus, your phone calls are welcome tonight. Jump on board early. Get to those right off the bat here on the program, 800-956-7266. If you prefer to email us, it's talkback@sportstalksc.com. If you prefer to tweet at us, it's @SportsTalkSC. I was at USC today with Sean Elliott, and he seemed very calm and composed and maybe a little more rested than he was a couple of weeks ago when he first took over as interim head coach at South Carolina. He feels like they've done a lot of good work during their off week, inserted some new offensive schemes, and doing some things a little differently on defense, such as tackling and taking people to the ground in practice on defense. Now, that's good for building up physicality and improving tackling and things on defense. It's bad in that you could get some people hurt that way. But you know what? What does he care? Throw care to the wind. It's 1 or nothing for him in terms of this shot to impress Ray Tanner to become the Gamecocks' full-time head coach in a few weeks. And he's going to do everything he can to win ball games and show Tanner that he is the man. Meantime, K-Mac was up at Clemson today where it was, it's all good. And Dabo
Very
continues to pull the right strings for his team and keep his guys focused, looking ahead to that very next game and that game only.
Biggest game of the season coming up, as they say, up at Clemson, NC State. They're focused on the next one. And Sweeney said they aren't getting caught up in all the outside noise because they have a good group of guys. He said they have guys that have experienced the heartbreak of losing, and they've also experienced a lot of success, so they know how to handle both. And they are ready for NC State and focused and dialed in and really have the same mentality that they've had every week up there, despite the fact that with each win, they get a little closer to that playoff and the pressure is going to go up. It's only natural. That's a natural thing, and how they react will be crucial for them.
And I guess, the interesting thing is, when you say take them to the ground, the only sport I figured you can't practice for is a marathon, because you can't run a marathon to practice for a marathon, but you can hit it in practice. And I think it's a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, we'll see if it pays off for the Gamecocks. Sean is certainly talking a good story right now and trying to do all that he can to get his team ready to play Texas A&M with the belief they can go in there and maybe steal an SEC road victory. 800-956-7266. Give us a call. right, we're back. 800-956-7266, 800-956-7266. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at the SportsTalkSC. Couple of quick stories, important stories to pass along to you, and then we'll jump into your phone calls. USC search for a new head football coach. The only known, identified, true candidate for the job is Sean Elliott, publicly. That's all we know. That's the only one everybody can hang their hat on, as we know Sean Elliott is a candidate. We know that Ray Tanner plans to interview him at some point. Other names, of course, have been floated out there. Sports Illustrated's Pete Themmel, who's pretty well connected through college football, has written that Marshall's Doc Holliday, Western Kentucky's Jeff Brom, and Cal's Sonny Dykes could be candidates at South Carolina. He mentions them along with, of course, the more frequently mentioned names, Kirby Smart, Justin Fuente, Tom Herman. He even throws Rich Rodriguez in there. Holliday's 47-26 in 5+ years. I think the knock against him is his age. He's 58. And I'll be surprised if Tanner goes that old in the coaching search. 30-6 the past 2.5 seasons. 58.
58's old now.
58. Well, I mean, you're talking about you want to, I think Tanner, actually, I think 58's quite young. But in recruiting circles and college football circles, not so young.
That's why I was eliminated.
Brom is in his second season at Western Kentucky, 14-7. He's also been an assistant at Louisville, Illinois, UAB, and Western Kentucky. They have a very, very good offense. Sonny Dykes. It's kind of a stretch, but he does have an explosive offense. And I don't know. You're talking about a guy from the West Coast. Of course, he's coached at Texas Tech, Arizona. He's mostly a West Coast guy. Anyway, these are just some of the names being thrown out there. We got to mention them as we see them as potential candidates at South Carolina. Texas A&M coach Kevin Sumlin said today he will wait till Friday to announce his starting quarterback for the USC game. Kyle Allen, Jake Hubanick, and freshman Kyler Murray are all being evaluated this week. They've lost 2 in a row, and Allen had been the starter, gave way to Hubanick in the fourth quarter of the loss at Ole Miss the other night. Murray has been the top backup this season, but he was skipped over. He was in uniform on the sidelines, but he was skipped over because he cursed at A&M offensive coordinator Jake Spavital during the Alabama game. How dare he?
Well, the interesting thing about it, I still can't understand. When I looked at A&M, they've got some tremendously explosive athletes, and it just scratched 3 points. And I know Ole Miss's defense can be salty sometimes, but, boy, it seems that their quarterbacking has just gone down the tubes.
Spavital will continue calling plays on offense as the season begins winding down, according to Kevin Sumlin. Corey Washington, former standout receiver at Newberry, has been added to the Redskins practice squad. Last year he played 14 games with the Giants. And Shakur Chisholm, one of the state's leading rushers this season at Williston-Elko with about 1,400 yards. He and his parents are suing Allendale Fairfax High School and the school district over what they're calling a hazing ritual condoned by coaches. They are suing for an unspecified amount that would cover his medical bills along with emotional distress and mental suffering from the incident. He alleges 15 teammates used open hands, closed fists, boxing gloves, belt buckles, and other objects to hit him, according to the complaint. It also says that the head coach, Eddie Ford, said the assault, according to the lawsuit, the assault took place with the full consent of the head coach, Eddie Ford, who was named in the suit. And the kid is now at the Williston-Elko High School. All right, there you go. Some of the top stories of the day. World Series scheduled to begin tonight in Kansas City. It is raining, so that could put the start in jeopardy. And the NBA season opens tonight. I don't think rain will be a factor unless there's some leaky
roofs
somewhere.
And that has happened before too.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. All right, let's get to the phone calls. 800-956-7266. We begin with Mike in Hampton. First call tonight here on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Great. Good evening to you guys. Thanks for having a Sports Talk show.
Well, thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, I can't get this channel in Hampton. I'm on the road, but every time I'm in the Charleston, Moncks Corner area, I grab you guys on the radio.
Well, thank you. You can always get us on your smartphone, too, if you lose us over the airwaves.
Okay, cool beans.
Yeah.
Hey, just a couple of observations with questions and some comments about this year's Clemson football Tigers. When you watch this team play, every time I've watched them this year, they play with a certain calmness, coolness, like they're on a mission. They don't get rattled. They're intense. And I look at that intensity, and this team is littered with freshmen and a great mix of some great veterans. But you back up to last year, every victory that the Clemson Tigers took last year, with the exception of maybe the Oklahoma victory, was fought tooth, claw, and nail. And I'm wondering what kind of attitude that this year's team came from what last year laid down. Secondly, when I watch these, and then I'll hang up. Secondly, when I watch these coaches, I love our coaching staff, love our head coach, love our D coordinator, our co-offensive coordinators. Those co-offensive coordinators do their homework. It looks like they just go into a game taking what they feel like they're going to get out of that defense. Then you watch Brent Venables. We were party crashing, house blitzing fools the first 4 games. And then you watch the Miami game, and they line up in a blitz, and they stunt. You see, as a ball snap, you see the players turn and run in a dead sprint to coverage, and then they sack Kyle with 2 people rushing. I can't say enough about what's going on in Clemson. That's it, and thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Good hearing from you. Well, you should feel good if you're a Clemson fan. There's a lot to feel good about. Dabo is delivering on what he said in the summer and the season, when a lot of us, including me, did not think that they would be as good as they are, because I thought that the defense, there's no way they could be as good as they were last year. Number 1 in the country, lose all those players to the NFL. Didn't think they could replace them. They have, and then some. And this team, there's hardly a senior on this team that is a major contributor. A couple on the offensive line, but the defense is almost exclusively made up of sophomores, redshirt sophomores, 2 second and third year guys with eligibility remaining. Now they may suffer some attrition because of guys deciding to leave early for the NFL draft. But then again, at Clemson, seldom has that been a problem for them. Most guys, except for the guys that are going to be picked number 1 in the draft or in the first round, most of them decide to come back to finish their careers. But they are set up for the long run here of success. You mentioned Venables. He has done a marvelous job. And I was talking to someone today, a very knowledgeable football person, who shall go unnamed, a very knowledgeable football person. And without me even suggesting it, I have mentioned Venables here multiple times as somebody that Ray Tanner should talk to. And this person mentioned that Brent Venables should be considered for South Carolina's head coaching
He
job.
should be considered for every major job, really. At least get an interview. You got to take a look at this guy, look at what he's done at Clemson, the way he's developed players, the way he conducts himself. I don't know if he's the right fit at South Carolina or where he would be, but you got to look at this guy.
Well, people got to get over this phobia of hiring defensive coaches that has cropped up here as head coaches. All right, we are Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina, and your final word in sports every night, 6 to 8 p.m. here in South Carolina. Give us a call, 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Back to your calls in a second. Matty Mock, Missouri quarterback, he's been reinstated to the team after a 4-week suspension for violating undisclosed team rules. He rejoined the team activities during the bye week. It's unclear if he'll play their next game November 5th against Mississippi State. He's been the starting quarterback since 2013. He missed the last 4 games while under suspension, and the team has really suffered in his absence. The only game that they scored any touchdowns in was against South Carolina when they beat the Gamecocks out in Columbia, Missouri. They've scored just 12 points in losses to Florida, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. All right, back to your phone calls we go, and it's Tim and Easley with us next here on Sports Talk. Hello, Tim.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. 3 questions. I'll ask them and then hang up and listen to the answers.
Mm-hmm.
The first question, been up here in the upstate and listen to the upstate radio talk shows. I'm hearing people saying that South Carolina should look at Chad Morris, who's now at SMU, but I mean he's only won 1 game there, and I know that program was in bad shape when he took over. So I mean I just don't see that, and I really don't know if he wants to leave Texas. I know he'd probably get a lot more money at South Carolina. My second question is concerning the Class 5A football. Has the high school league announced those teams yet? And if they have they done came up with the reclassification? And the final question is on South Carolina basketball. I've seen they were preseason number 7 in the SEC, and I think they were last or next to last year. So I doubt if anyone else had that big of a jump in the conference. If you could just comment on those 3 things, I'll hang up and listen.
Well, I can tell you the first one is they think because, they got a solid class of seniors and juniors, they're going to be much better. South Carolina lost 8 ball games by 6 points or less last year. And so I think they think with the seniors and the juniors, real upperclassmen, a good freshman recruiting class that South Carolina will at least win, I'd say, 22, 23 games this year.
Yeah, things are sort of cycling through in the SEC now. I mean, you've got your constant, which is Kentucky, and then you have those programs that have risen to the top and been there for a while, but now they've kind of slipped a little bit, and then you've got the next group kind of rising up, like Georgia, and they think maybe South Carolina is one of those on the rise right now. So, yeah, they made maybe the biggest jump in the preseason. We'll answer your other questions, and I'll tell you the 5A teams for next year. I'll give you that coming up. All right, it's Sports Talk, and we're back with you on this Tuesday night, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. Just to finish the answers to the previous caller's questions, Chad Morris, I don't think so. I don't get a strong feeling on Chad Morris right now, not because of his season so far. Everybody thinks he's doing a good job despite the record, but he is a Texas guy. He went out to Texas for a reason. That's where he's comfortable. That's home. That's where his recruiting contacts have been all these years. I can't see him leaving after 1 year. I don't see that happening right now. I think it goes in another direction. Your question about Class 5A. Yes, they've realigned. Class 5A has been created. Here are the teams in Class 5A beginning in 2016. Region 1 will be Easley, Man, Hannah, Westside, Woodmont. 2, Greenwood, Hillcrest, Lawrence, Malden, Riverside, Wade, Hampton. 3, Bowling Springs, Burns, Dorman, Gaffney, Spartanburg. Whew. Burns, Dorman, Gaffney, and Spartanburg all together again. Of course, they're together now, I think. 4 is Clover, Fort Mill, Nation Ford, Northwestern, and Rock Hill. 5 is Blythewood, Dutch Fork, Irmo, Lexington, River Bluff, Spring Valley, and White Knoll. That's not going to be a piece of cake. 6 is Carolina Forest, Conway, Socastee, South Florence, Sumter, and West Florence. And 7, your Charleston schools, Ashley Ridge, Fort Dorchester, Goose Creek, James Island, Stratford, Somerville, Wando, and West Ashley. All right, back to your phone calls, 800-956-7266. Buddy in Simpsonville. Hi, Buddy. Welcome into Sports Talk.
What do you say, guys?
How you doing? How's it shaking?
Listen, I'm calling really to talk about the coaching thing, but I'll say this, that I have really loved high school football in upstate. It's from east to the west. It's just been great. A lot of good teams, and I've always called it the little SEC of South Carolina.
For the longest time, it has ruled. It has dominated. Now, I think other areas of the state are picking up. I think the Midlands has gotten better with Dutch Fork emerging. And
oh, yeah, I agree with that.
And this Westwood team is very good.
Yes.
And there are others. And then in the low country, of course, Goose Creek was great under Chuck Reedy. Fort Dorchester is really good this year.
Somerville used to be good.
Somerville will be back. They'll be back.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, you talk about
right,
that.
And I guess what I like about it up here is it's kind of like the SEC in the sense that the whole group or conferences or everything there's a lot of rivals in there.
Yeah.
And it creates a lot of excitement, as far as that particular area. But the reason I was calling, I want to tell you that. I was listening the other night, and I agree with the Pastor Payne about our coach is the one we got right now, and that's who they're going to hire. And I got good reasons. I'll tell you why. I'm retired, and for my entire life, when I was working, I was in what you call the people business, where I met people all the time. I was in the banking business, and also I was in personnel. They call it personnel, by human resources. I don't even know what to call it now. And so I met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, and I also did a lot of hiring of people. And I from the low level all the way up to executives and this, that, and the other. And so I kind of understand the situation about what a person goes through in a hiring. Now, it always comes down in the end to whoever the big boss is, whether it's in an industry or in a high school or anything like that. Now, I also had the opportunity, I was very involved in the high school area that I live up here. And we hired a new coach. This has probably been 15, 20 years ago. And I was the lead guy that did all the interviewing because of my experience and that kind of stuff.
Hey, buddy, I hate to jump in, but can you kind of move it along here? Or we got other folks want to jump on board. So
I'm sorry.
Get
Well, anyway, what I want to say
point.
is,
yeah.
I just think that I was trying to give you some background stuff
Yeah.
what I was doing. But anyway,
I got you.
here's the thing. if you go and look at the coaches' resumes, his by far, even the guys that have got jobs out in, the head coaches, is very much better. I like to see you read them on the air, a lot of people. If you got time, I don't think that anywhere's got all the good stuff about what he's done. And this guy's just unbelievable. I mean, he played on 4 national championship teams, and he stayed up there a long time, came down here. Can't quite figure it out, but there's something maybe between him and Ray Tanner that's not public. And I think he interviewed him originally, and I just believe that he's going to be the guy. He's already here. Got his recruiting stuff. He's got to do some things to improve.
Now, you say when you say you think there's something between him and Ray Tanner, you mean a good thing? Are you saying that's a
very good thing? Yeah. That's just me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm reading into. And hey, I may be 100% wrong.
Right.
And, maybe he might be his nephew. I mean, I don't know that, but I'm just saying.
I don't think so. I don't think they're related. But Ray. One thing about Ray Tanner, he has an eye for talent. He recruited great baseball players over his career. He hired excellent assistant coaches. Think of the assistant coaches he hired over his career. He has an eye for talent, and maybe he sees something in Sean Elliott. Maybe he sees something in somebody else. I think, again, Sean is the one guy. As you'll hear him talk about it in his words coming up later on. I mean, he's the one guy in a position to prove himself in front of Ray Tanner every day.
He gets the longest interview of any candidate. And Ray Tanner said he wants to have a guy in place by around the first week of December, ideally, but guys could be involved in bowl games. If Sean Elliott, to me, if he gets this team to a bowl game, which I do not think he's going to do, and I don't think that means he's a bad coach. I think it just is a testament to the fact that they don't have the talent to win 4 more games or 3 more games down the stretch, then he deserves the job. I think you give him a run at it at that stage in the game, unless he completely goofs the sit-down interview. But that being said, Ray Tanner has never made a football hire, but what he's really good at is reading people. He knows how to put people in a position of success. He knows what kind of guy he wants, and he's a great guy. He's very nice and great with the media, but Ray Tanner is a very shrewd and disciplined guy when it comes to managing his programs, and that's how he was as a coach. Ask any player that'll tell you, boy, this guy would lay into you in practice. He was a hard guy to play for at times, so he will certainly not he's not just going to bow down and listen to anybody.
I agree with you. As I sit here, think about it, I mean, and I'm influenced by the proximity, but I mean, my personal favorites right now would be Venables and Sean Elliott. I think that South Carolina could not go wrong with either one of those guys. I know there's some guys having great years and are flashing some very shiny credentials out there, but let's see what happens with Sean Elliott if he turns this team around on the field as he is trying to do. I think you got to give him a good hard look. Back to the phone calls we go. It is going to be Ronnie in North Augusta with us next. I hope he's having a good day and is feeling good today. Ronnie, please tell me so.
Yes, sir, Phil. Been a pretty good day. How you guys doing tonight?
Man, we're always happy when we hear from you.
Hey, what I know, in my mind, I know what y'all are saying about Clemson is correct. I can't deny that any longer. And my old Clemson buddy, I tell you, since I've started with this illness, he's been every day. I mean, like a brother. I couldn't ask anybody to do more for me than what he's doing for me. So I decided I was going to try to do the right thing, Phil, and call and just admit to him that Clemson has a great football team. So I took a couple of the nausea pills, but I take along with my counselor, and I called him, and I got out Clemson has, and that's as far as I got. I got choked up and threw up all over myself.
Ooh.
I was trying to do the right thing, Phil, but I still couldn't make myself say it.
Yeah, I know it's tough for you, Ronnie, and I'm glad you're feeling better, and I hope you continue to feel really good and improve. I do suggest that November 28th that maybe you leave the state and maybe even leave the country and maybe go somewhere where there's just no form of communication whatsoever, just for November 28th, then come back on the 29th. Hope you're doing well. Back in a moment. Whether you are a Clemson Tiger or a Carolina Gamecock, all South Carolina college football fans can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location on USC's campus. A Clemson office coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Tomorrow I'll be in Charlotte for the ACC Basketball Media Day. We'll have the preseason poll there. I imagine Clemson will be somewhere right in the middle of the pack. We'll see who the media decides as the favorite. Probably, I imagine, either North Carolina or Duke. Virginia will be a high pick as well. Syracuse, Louisville. No Rick Pitino, staying home. Doesn't want to take the questions about what's been reported around his program. Newberry picked preseason, tied for 5th with Catawba in the South Atlantic Conference. Lincoln Memorial #1, followed by Carson Newman, Queens, and Wingate. Then Newberry and Catawba tied for 5th. And in the CAA, the Colonial Athletic Association, College of Charleston picked 9th behind Hofstra, James Madison, Northeastern, William & Mary, and others you've never heard of. So the Cougars way on down the list there. Let's see. What else? Did I mention Matty Malk? Yeah, we did. We talked about Matty Malk. All right. Back to the phone calls we go. Dave in North Charleston with us next here on Sports Talk. Hello, Dave. Welcome in.
How you doing after trying to survive the second flood? I guess we're doing all right.
Yeah, hang in there. You got a lot of high tide down there this week with the moon apparently being really close to the planet.
And the rain.
And rain. Rain doesn't help. Yeah.
But that's what you get when you in a new month. You get a full moon. So. But I gotta disagree with your part. Carolina's got a lot of talent. They just didn't have coaching. And apparently we got a better coach now with Sean Elliott. And he's also forgetting what day this is coming up. And look what happened at Florida State, kind of hanging their head down in shame, knowing what day it's getting close to. And may I add to your partner, it's Halloween. So the only thing I got to do is tell him, trick or treat.
Yeah.
Trick or treat.
So is this some kind of he thinks that the problem in South Carolina wasn't the talent level, the personnel. It was all Steve Spurrier, and removing him, problem solved. That's going to be a trick, not a treat for you, if that's what you're thinking. And they have talent issues at multiple positions at South Carolina that are only going to be fixed through recruiting and development of talent. I'm not saying South Carolina doesn't have a talent. I'm saying the cupboard is as bare as it's been at South Carolina in maybe a decade.
It is interesting how they've changed things over there since Steve Spurrier walked away. From everything from the approach to practice and how they're going to practice, how they want to address players' desires for the way they handle practice, things of that nature, how that's changed, to the type of football they're playing, to the style of football they're playing. It's like what Spurrier was doing with this particular team, what he was directing was totally bad for this team. It just, the square peg, round hole kind of thing. His ways, his ideas, his concepts didn't fit. And you know what? A couple of things. You go back to his comment when Lorenzo Nunez became the starting quarterback and he turned over play calling to GA and Sean, and he said, it's not my type of offense, not my type of quarterback. And so I'm going to let them handle it and da-da-da-da. And I think, obviously, by then he was well into his thinking that he was getting out anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, into it. The interesting thing is the fact that you remember you used to see him on the sideline. Connor Shaw would not throw the football and take off. And then he said, well, we were still in my offense, but Connor kind of did that on his own.
Those are scramble plays.
So those are the scramble plays.
Those were called runs.
But these are predetermined calls.
Right. And then Missouri had their plays, and Spurrier said, well, we only had 2 of them, so it probably wasn't that hard for him to figure it out.
But I will say this. Ellis Johnson is really correct in the fact that he said that they don't have any difference makers. Because in my mind, even in their winning days, I didn't think their secondary was that good.
Mm-hmm.
But because you had Clowney in there disrupting things, the secondary looked good, but I didn't think they were that good. See, if you get a few difference makers, that actually elevates the talent of the whole squad.
Yeah, but, go back and look at those players who are playing in the winningest days. Many of those guys are playing in the NFL and playing well. So they did have some talent in the secondary. We'll be back with recruiting. Time to give you the recruiting report for this Tuesday. USC back in Alabama, trying to find players who aren't going to go to Alabama or Auburn. They've done a good job of that over the years, finding good players who didn't go to Alabama or Auburn. They think they've got another possibility. Defensive end Griffin Gentry out of Homestead was offered by linebackers coach Kurt Botkin last Thursday. Said he was excited about the offer. Wasn't expecting it. It happened. Feels pretty good about it. He's been to USC before, was there for camp, and they liked him because he's athletic, got a big wingspan coming off the edge. He is currently committed to Troy, and he says that commitment is still in place, but he plans to make a final decision the middle of next month after he takes some visits and looks at the education opportunities, how he fits in with particular programs, etc. He's been to Troy and Auburn for games. He'll be at USC for Florida. Also planning to see games at Memphis and Alabama. He says he's got more than a dozen offers, but USC, Memphis, and Troy stand out the most. This season, 57 tackles with 40 solo. Last year, 106 with 7 sacks. Clemson looking to add another defensive back in this class, talking to a handful of guys, including Trayvon Mullen from Pompano Beach, Florida. Clemson was his favorite school growing up. The Tigers have been working him for most of the year. He says he talks to him all the time, Venables and Reed. He says he's going to take an official up there sometime in January. Reed was down to scout him a couple of weeks ago. 2 of his other official visits will be LSU and Florida State, undecided on his other 2 officials. He's looking at TCU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Ohio State for those visits. He's been watching the Tigers, especially their defense, likes the way they're playing, likes their style on defense. Reed has also been keeping in touch with defensive back KJ Sales from Gibsonton, Florida. Hasn't offered him yet, but they are evaluating him. He's good friends with Ray McLeod and Deion Kane and Artava Scott, those guys from the Tampa area. He is coming in for the Florida State game. An offer from Clemson would put the Tigers high up on his list. He's taken officials to Wisconsin and Iowa, doesn't have a favorite at this point. He's got 2 interceptions this year, and he said he's blocked 7 or 8 field goals. Former Malden star athlete Dre Massey having a big season at Holmes Junior College, Mississippi. And the result, he's gotten an offer from USC that came in actually last week, but he couldn't confirm it until last night because his coach wanted him to put recruiting to the side. Said he was expecting the offer. He's excited about it. USC has now moved to the top of his list. Official visit on November 14th. But also looking at Illinois, Mississippi State, Memphis, Cincinnati, Cal, and Florida. This season, 21 catches, 548 yards. That's a 26-yard average. 6 touchdowns, rushed 452 yards, 3 touchdowns. In basketball, Adam Finkelstein, ESPN.com, says he is hearing 6'9" Sadiq Keita is transferring back to 22 Feet Academy in Greenville from Putnam Science Academy in Connecticut. Of course, he is a USC target, and this would likely be very good news for the Gamecocks if indeed it is happening, which we hear it is as well. Top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes, the Steak Man, Graham Pope, kind of like the Ringo Starr of this group. I'm like the Paul McCartney. I think K-Mac's more like the John Lennon.
Popular
Pro would be
reference, a Beatles reference there.
Be the George
really
Harrison.
Targeting the younger demographic here on Sports Talk. We're appealing to the
Steak Man would be the Ringo Starr of the group. You know, kind of behind the scenes. Maybe they're not best looking of the group. Maybe they're not the most talented of the group.
Probably a better drummer than he is right now. But go ahead.
Not only no longer making music, some of them aren't even alive anymore.
It's kind of sad.
Aren't even
Really
alive.
kind of sad.
The long and winding road, Cord. You're headed down it right now.
I've been on that long and winding road. And it's far from over, baby. Despite your best wishes, K-Mac, far from over.
I wish nothing but the best for you, Corn.
Quickly, back to the phones before we get to the coaches. And Frank in Myrtle Beach. Hello, sir. Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hey, gentlemen. I'm on the road. Hope you can hear me okay. Two things quickly. One is I'm a big Gamecock fan, but don't believe Elliott's the answer. And I think there's a lot of rah-rah to do with it, but for various reasons, I don't think he is. It won't matter, I don't think, anyway. I'm not trying to be crass about it. I just think after these next 5 games, you know, they'll certainly be looking for a coach, another coach. The other thing is Clemson. And you guys may have already talked about it earlier. I don't know, but you know, ranked number 3 now in the AP with only Ohio State and TCU ahead. You look at schedules. Clemson's got a great schedule. Not bad. I mean, NC State, a lot of people say it could upset them. Florida State, certainly to me, looks a little down from what they have been and playing at Clemson. I think they've got a very favorable schedule to win out. And when you look at TCU, I think they have a horrendous close to the schedule and missing their top quarterback. I think they play Oklahoma State. I'm sorry, not TCU, Baylor in second place. I think they play Oklahoma State, TCU, and Texas close. And then Ohio State, I believe they play at Michigan State and then Michigan to close the season. So much more daunting task. I think there's a great chance number 28, if not before, at the end of the day, they'll be number 1.
Well, Ohio State finishes home to Minnesota, at Illinois, home to Michigan State, and at Michigan. Okay, that's how they finish. TCU will finish at Oklahoma State, home to Kansas, at Oklahoma, and Baylor at home.
Well, Ohio State is.
And let me do Baylor. Baylor will go to Kansas State, and then Oklahoma at home, at Oklahoma State, at TCU, and they finish with Texas.
Ohio State has the best quarterback in place now, deciding on JT Barrett. I think they have turned back to being explosive now.
All right. Thank you very much. Hit a break and get to the coaches on this Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk.
Had a good bye week.
Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. Let's get to the coaches. We'll begin with USC since they have the earlier kickoff time Saturday at noon Eastern time out at Texas A&M. Here is interim head coach Sean Elliott.
Had a good bye week last week, preparation. Had an opportunity to go back and get some younger guys out some reps. Experiment with a few little formations, some wrinkles, and now we're into the full game week, getting ready to go out to Texas A&M. Leaving this Friday and playing that game, I believe, at 12 Eastern time. And so, looking forward to having a good matchup with them. They're a great football team, very, very talented. They've got great skill position players, some get-off defensive ends that like to get up the field and rush the passer, and an unbelievable head coach. So we're looking forward to the opportunity. Any questions?
Sean, how, I guess, relaxing or relieving is it to come in and just be able to talk about football this week?
It's good. It's really good. That's what we're here to do. Play the game of football, focus on it, get those distractions out of the way. And now we've got a full week of preparation where we can just, solely focus in on Texas A&M and what we need to do to get better and try to accomplish that.
Sean, how did you measure progress during the bye week? Was it, hey, we saw some good things on the field, we were able to talk to some recruits and really make some inroads there, or our players got more comfortable the week before when things were a little more chaotic?
Well, it was fly by the seat of your pants the week before, and so this time we had a little bit of preparation, a little bit of normalcy. So when we took the field, we could say, all right, this is what we got to go out and do. We don't have any distractions here on Monday night or Tuesday morning. And I'm the head coach, and, let's move on from there. But it was an opportunity for us to, number one, to get out on the road recruiting, which I thought we did well, and kind of spread the South Carolina message, and not to sell the university by no means, because we certainly don't have to do that with this fine institution. But to see younger players, to get our preparations in, whether it be new packages or new personnel, to get those in and see how they work.
Yeah, you just mentioned it, staying on that, the wrinkles that you just mentioned, packages. How much was that of last week, or is it, should we expect a lot of different things heading into this game?
It's some things that we've always had in and just not ever had the opportunity to kind of get them in the course of a game. We started on them a little bit last week. It's something we've always practiced, but like I said, it's something we haven't utilized during the, a lot of the games. But we're trying to implement a little bit of different wrinkles and attack people a little bit differently. And we were able to kind of jumpstart on that.
Sean, how beneficial was the bye week in helping you become more comfortable with your new role?
It's still moving really fast, to tell you the truth. But the open week, not having a game to prepare for this past Saturday was a nice break. Nice break, because like I said, that week went really fast for myself and our football team. It gave me an opportunity to kind of get my thoughts in order, to have a plan in place that you just didn't have to go and make decisions the day before or the night before. You can think things out, thoroughly and move on from there. So it helped me to a great degree.
Sean, are you looking for Perry to stay in the whole game, or would you try to put in maybe Mitch or Nunez to shake it up a bit?
I'm looking for us to have the opportunity to win the football game. If it means for Perry Orth to stay in there and lead our football team to the victory, then of course we're going to do that. You've all seen Nunez and Connor Mitch in action, and they both bring different things to our football team. Whether it be a Nunez package, who knows? It may be more speed option with him out there. I don't know. That'll be played out during the course of the game and how it's kind of flowing. But right now we're stable with Perry. We think he's done a good job in his last outing, and we think our team is kind of falling in place behind him, and they know exactly what to expect from him. So we're pretty pleased with that.
You mentioned the defensive end position. Myles Garrett is really the leader of that bunch and really talented. How do you stop a guy like that?
I don't know if you stop a guy like that, but you certainly can't take 7-step drops and get us in third down situations and let him, rush the passer. I mean, it just doesn't match up. I don't care what kind of offensive tackles you got. You've got to mix in protections. We've got to slide protect. We've got to move the pocket. We've got to have some cut protections on there, but we can't give him the same protection, over and over and over again to let that guy get off the ball and get up the field and haul the other defensive end. Both those guys can rush the passer. They've got a good front seven that can get after you, but we just got to keep them at bounds. No third and longs. I'm sure we'll have a few that we'll have to sit back there and count on our offensive line to do a great job, but we've got to also be smart in how we do it.
Sean, going back to the different formations you guys have been tinkering with over the last week, watching this game like on television or from the outsider's perspective, do you think are y'all going to look markedly different perhaps than you have, or is it going to be that cut and dry? I don't know if if you're just average fan, you'll probably say, "Oh my God, I haven't seen this, I haven't seen that," but you see a little bit more consistency. At times we would throw a certain formation out there and maybe run 2 plays out of it where it was really beneficial and never get back to it. We'll probably stick with, some of those formations that you might not have seen in the past, maybe just once or twice a game. You'll probably see more of those.
How much have you engaged with John and Lorenzo in terms of things you want personally for them to do defensively during the bye week and maybe ideas that you would like to see implemented?
Not a whole lot. I think if you look back to our Vandy game, the plan was pretty good in place. They hit us on a couple of stretch zones, and that's something you just got to get off blocks and make tackles. And the interior defensive line have got to, they've got to get off those blocks. They can't get cut at the point of attack. We're going to implement a little bit new scheme of things. We're going to get a little physical in practice. We're going to cut. We're going to full tackle, take to the ground, and it's not going to be the first time they see this in game type situations. So whether that may be the biggest change, it may not be, but I'm certainly paying close attention. I watch them out there each and every day in practice. I see them coaching and teaching, and unless I see something that's just needs to be changed, I'm gonna let Coach Oak kind of handle it.
You talked about the quarterbacks being back in the fold, but as in general as a whole, is this as healthy as y'all have been in quite some time this year?
I think so. Debo's still out with a hamstring injury, but other than him, we're pretty much good to go. We don't have a problem with injuries at this point, and everybody's pretty fresh and solid, and we're ready to get after it this week.
You addressed the injuries a second ago. Is Rico McWilliams available to you this week after that concussion?
Yes.
And on the quarterback situation, you look at the depth chart, and I think Connor is listed second. Lorenzo is listed fourth. Is that just where they are? Do you read anything more?
That's just something for you guys to kind of write about, to tell you the truth. We just, Perry Ort's our starter, and we, second, third, or fourth, who knows? It's about what we need to do to get the job done. And you guys could be in there second series, who knows? But don't pay a whole lot of attention to that, about who starts the game.
As the only known on-the-record candidate for the head coaching job, has Coach Tanner given you any idea when he wants to talk to you about the future and actually do a formal interview with you?
No, he hasn't shared that information with me. Right now, I would say this is a pretty formal interview. I mean, to be honest with you, every single day I'm being interviewed, and he's watching the press conference right now, seeing, how I'm handling these questions and addressing the answers. And then, of course, he watches us game day and at practice. So, every single day I'm being interviewed, unlike a lot of other guys that are behind the scenes. But I'm sure in due time there's going to be the necessary, quote unquote, formal interview. At least I would like to think so. And when it does happen, I hope what we've done from last week to this week and moving forward, we'll say a lot as well.
Sean Elliott from his second Tuesday presser as South Carolina's interim head football coach, handling things with ease and confidence. I think he's handling things with a lot of confidence, believes in what he's doing.
Well, I was impressed with him at that press conference when Spurrier stepped down. I thought he never looked overwhelmed by his surroundings and what task he had to take on.
That's an excellent point. All right, we'll hit a break. Got time for a call or two, 800-956-7266. And Dabo Swinney right around the corner. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney coming up in a couple of minutes. Right now, it's the high school football report here on Sports Talk, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you've received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. Give you the latest high school rankings, courtesy of the High School Sports Report. And Fort Dorchester in 4A, now 10-0. They are number one ahead of Northwestern at 8-1. West Side is 9-0, number 3. Ashley Ridge 8-0, number 4. And Spartanburg at 8-1 is number 5. Then it is Burns, Lexington, Westwood, Conway, and Dorman. What I can't tell you, this is where we have a problem, is which of these teams will play up for a playoff and which ones will play down. I believe Spartanburg will play down as things stand right now, but I could be wrong. I just don't know the enrollment figures of all these schools right now, who's going to play up and who's going to play down, which is kind of a shame, because I'd love to be able to sit here and tell you who's going to play who. In 3A, 2A, and 1A, of course, they have the point system. It's a little more sane. Greer is number 1 in 3A. They look really good. 9-0. Hartsville's 9-0 at number 2. Chapin's 8-0 at number 3. Seneca's unbeaten, 9-0 at number 4. South Point is 5. Hilton Head, what a bounce back year for them. They're 8-0 at number 6. Then it's Hanahan, Myrtle Beach, Belton, Honeypath, and Lancaster. Great year for Lancaster at 8-1. That's your top 10. In 2A, Dillon is 9-0, number 1, followed by Fairfield Central at 8-1. Woodruff is 8-1, number 3. Then it's Strom Thurmond, Abbeville, Timberland, Newberry, Chesterfield, Pendleton, and Lake Marion. So in Class AA, Dillon is the only remaining unbeaten team. And in 1A, McBee at 8-0 is number 1. Bamberg Earhart 9-0 is number 2. Calhoun County at 9-0 is number 3. Then it's Southside Christian 4, C.E. Murray 5. Then it's Allendale Fairfax, Williston Elko, Christ Church, Lakeview, and Cross. That's your top 10. Oh, look there at number 12.
Ladder.
at 6-3. It is the mighty Vikings of Latta, one of the hottest teams in the state, not to be denied this year, as we try for our first ever state football championship. Of course, we'd have to avoid McBee somehow because they're really good. And maybe if the top 4 or 6 teams get knocked out early in the playoffs, that would help our cause. But anyway, we will play with heart and we will play with pride. How's Pillion doing, K-Mac?
I think they're struggling a little bit. They're playing Keenan this weekend, so maybe we'll get a W there against.
It's gotten
Cleveland.
so bad.
Against.
It's gotten so
Hey,
bad.
It's
at Pillion.
hard to
They've had
replace.
such a hard time.
Hard to
filling.
replace Ben Freeman.
They've had such a hard time filling their quota for their Hall of Fame. Who are they inducting this Friday?
A few people,
such as.
I don't know.
You're actually going into the Pillion
Yes.
Athletic Hall of Fame.
It wasn't something we were going to discuss on the air. I didn't think, but yes,
There are no secrets. We have no secrets here
Open
on
book,
Sports
right?
Talk. Yeah. You're going in as what kind of an athlete?
It's the whole school thing, Phil. It's my whole contribution.
Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk. The coaches talking here on a Tuesday. We heard from Sean Elliott. Now time to get the words from Dabo Swinney. Tigers undefeated, ranked as high as number 3, looking ahead to North Carolina State. And here is Dabo Swinney from his presser earlier today.
Well, another challenge for us this week. This is a football team, NC State, that really impressed with watching them on tape. I think Coach Doran has done a fantastic job of recruiting, just getting his philosophy and his systems in place. It's just easy to see from my perspective, because obviously I watch them very closely each year to see the improvement in their team, their belief in what they're doing. This is a well-coached football team in all phases, and just got them playing hard, got them playing tough, got them playing smart, got them playing confident. And I think a big part of that is they got 18 starters back. So this is a veteran football team that is sitting at 5-2, playing at home with a sellout crowd and a top-ranked team coming in there. So this is a great opportunity for NC State. We know we'll get the very best they got, but it's a big challenge for us. I mean, when you really sit down and you look at them offensively, they're all over the place as far as what they do: formations, shifts, motions, alignments, personnel groupings. They're kind of BC type, I guess would be how I would describe them as far as what they want to do in the presentation of their offense, but they've got a better passing game. The quarterback, Brissett, is a really good player. He's only got 1 interception on the season. All the play actions and the pop passes and the screens they've got a great power running game built with speed sweeps and jets and options and all kind of stuff coming off of it. They do a really, really good job in creating advantageous plays for themselves. And so it's a very big discipline game for us, just in being able to line up football. Very similar to when we were playing BC in that regard. They're a run-first, kind of bloody-your-nose team. That's what they want to do. So this is a game of trenches. We're going to have to play great inside, and we got to do an outstanding job of containing the perimeter because they do a great job of getting outside of people. So this is a really good challenge. And when you look at them, they're averaging 5 yards a carry per rush. So they've been very effective. They've run the ball 100 and something more times than they've thrown it. They're second in the nation in time of possession, which just tells you, how they've been able to sustain drives. So we're first in the nation in 3 and outs. So this is kind of a clash in that regard. We've been a team that's been able to get off the field, and they've been a team that's been able to stay on the field. So a big contrast there and a good matchup. The quarterback's big, strong, doing a good job of taking care of the ball. They do involve him in the running game. He's been very efficient. You can't one-arm this guy. I mean, he's probably 240-plus pounds. He's a big, big guy and has made some really good throws. Their passing game, the leading receiver is their fullback. The second leading receiver is their running back. Their third leading receiver is their wideout, 85. So this is it just kind of tells you how they're built and what they do. So a tough team to stop. They've got a good scheme, big, strong offensive line, 4 out of the 5 starters back, tight ends back. They've got a little freshman in there at number 7 who we recruited, the Hines kid, who's electric and has gotten better and better as the season has gone on, and they've involved him a little bit more each and every week. Defensively, they play hard, they play physical, they play tough. They're where they're supposed to be. They don't make a lot of mistakes. This is a well-coached team, defensive line-wise, active, disruptive. They've got, I guess, 8 starters back on the defensive side. So, again, a lot of veterans over there, and these guys have done a great job, in my opinion, each and every week. Special teams, they're 6th in the country in punt. They're 10th in the country in kickoff return. They're 11th in the country in punt return. So this is a complete football team that is playing with confidence. And again, it's a tough place to play. We all know that here. We have great respect for NC State. I think their environment there is one of the best places that certainly we have in this conference, and one of the better places that I've been to. They do a great job of supporting their team, and we know it'll be jacked up for the Tigers to show up. So for us, it's just having a great week of preparation and really getting dialed in. This is a game of the trenches and a game of precise execution, because this is a team that will take advantage if you're not where you're supposed to be. Any questions?
How do you keep them focused? As you guys continue to make this run, you have the talk of the college playoff and all those outside elements that can distract you. How do you keep them focused?
Just do what we do. I mean, show them the poll from this time last year. I think Mississippi State was #1 in the country, and they didn't even finish in the top 10. I'm not sure Ohio State was even ranked in the top 10 at this time last year and won the national championship. So none of that stuff matters. I mean, it just really doesn't matter. I mean, our focus is that. Win the division. That's all we're dialed in on. Win the division. And if we're going to win the division, we got to beat our teams in this conference, and especially those teams within our division. So that's all we focus on. And, today is Tanoga Tuesday, and we're just going to come in here. We're going to have our team meeting. We're going to do what we do. We don't vary from our formula. I mean, we don't live in a cave. You can't sit here. I mean, we only get them 20 hours, so the world has them, 100 plus hours. So, they're not guys that are oblivious to TV shows and all that type of stuff. But I think the biggest thing is you have to just rely on the leadership of your team. And we got a group of guys that are focused. They know that we haven't achieved anything yet. Our goal was not to be 7-0. That wasn't our goal on the season. Our goal is to, play 12 games and be the best we can be. And we'd love to win them all. We want to be 12-0, but you can't win 12 till you win 8. So, our goal each and every week is we don't have to win them all. Let's just win the one we're playing. Let's be better than that team we're playing. And that's been our approach, our focus. And I think the leadership of this team deserves a lot of credit because they carry that message. They resonate that into the locker room, into the dining hall, on the buses, all throughout practice, meetings, et cetera. We've got an excellent group. This group of guys, we're a very young team. And you look at our team, you say, okay, you got, 39, 40 freshmen. Easy for young guys to maybe, because none of those guys, they just showing up here like, wow, this is just the way it's supposed to be. And, happy go lucky. Oh, this is easy. And that's a danger if you don't have the right type of leadership in place and the right type of structure and culture and consistency. And we have that in place. And these guys, these senior juniors that we have, they've had a ton of success, man. They hadn't had much failure, but they've had enough. They've had enough. Pain is a great motivating thing. And they've had enough painful moments to where they have an understanding of how critical a play is.
Dabo Swinney from his press conference earlier today up at Clemson. If you missed any of what the coaches had to say today, Sean Elliott, Dabo Swinney, you can hear it all on our website, sportstalksc.com. Sean's about 16, 17 minutes, and Dabo was how long?
47 minutes.
47 minutes.
If you listen to that on the treadmill, you'll be in shape by the time you're done.
No doubt about it. We'll be right back. right, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on a Tuesday night after a NASCAR weekend. What a weekend at Talladega. My. We welcome in the president of Darlington Raceway, Chip Wild, to Sports Talk. So much to talk about. Where do you want to start? What's your reaction to everything that happened at Talladega?
Well, certainly a lot of fireworks on Sunday afternoon, but that's what Talladega brings you when you have 43 cars running within a second of each other in a huge patch. You end up having big wrecks, and NASCAR had to make a judgment call at the end of the race, and to maybe run a green-white checker for the second time. NASCAR is in a really bad spot because not only do they have to keep the race fair and safe, but also, we're an entertainment sport. We got to put on a great show for the fans. And you saw the grandstand Sunday afternoon. There were a lot of people there that wanted a good finish. So, that happened, and they lined them up again, and it looked like Kevin Harvick just didn't get going, and they had to go back to the cameras around the racetrack to see who won the race. And unfortunately, when a popular win, if Dale Jr. would have won, all would be right in the world. But they made the right call, and Joey Logano got his third straight victory.
Apparently, there must have been a loud outcry getting back to the offices in Daytona Beach because they issued a statement today saying that after reviewing everything and checking all the data, our call was correct on the winner of the race, and we move on. Why the decision last week to only go with one extra session if it came to that? Because previously, they would restart the race three times if necessary.
Yeah, the drivers have been very vocal about the free opportunities to run a green-white checker, and they just, to them, it didn't feel like it was a very safe way to end a race. And NASCAR, again, is always listening to its fans, its drivers, and its tracks to make the racing great, to make it safe, and to make it the best product on the planet. And I think they wanted to make a change because that's what from the drivers. And some people agree, some don't agree. NASCAR, unfortunately, is in a weird spot. They want to make sure that they keep everybody safe. They want to make sure that they're listening to the drivers and doing things that are in the best interest of the drivers, but also have an obligation to the fans to put on a good show. So, everybody has an opinion. NASCAR's in a really great spot, or in a really tough spot, but I'll tell you, I support them. I think they're great, and they have a really tough job and do a fantastic job keeping everything right.
Well, personally, I would like to see the race decided by who gets to the checkered flag at full speed versus who crawls across the line, and then we have to go back and look at the tape to see where everybody was when the yellow came out. I mean, I don't understand. First of all, you're in the playoffs. The last thing you should be doing is changing the rules right in the middle of your playoffs, number one. And number two, I mean, from a safety standpoint, if there's an incident on the restart, you immediately throw the yellow. It stops everybody from racing. You go back, you regather, and you do it again until you get it right.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with you, Phil. But if you go back and look at the history of these green-white checkered finishes at super speedways, there's always a car upside down on fire. There's always cars scattered, littered all over the racetrack, and you got to remember, we need these drivers to compete. And when you put them in a position to get hurt, you almost lose a little bit of control. So. NASCAR is doing everything humanly possible to put on a great show, but also balance that with taking care of the folks who help put on the show. And in this instance, they felt like that was the right decision, and I certainly support it.
Have you talked to Dale Jr. since he was eliminated from the championship chase?
I have not talked to Dale. I talked to him before the race, and that's Dale has grown up. I was actually at Hendrick Motorsports today, meeting with the team, and the way he positioned and acted after the race just shows how classy he is and how much he's starting to be more and more like his dad. He got out of the race car, certainly very disappointed, won 2 races this year and had a great opportunity, knowing that he probably would have won the race if it would have gone green any further, but just handled it with nothing but class, and I am honored to call him a friend.
All right, very quickly here at the very end, we've got 8 left, and of the 8, only Jeff Gordon does not have a win this season. So, I mean, conceivably, we could have a guy win the championship without winning a race this year.
Absolutely. It could have happened last year with Ryan Newman. You know, he's figured out how to stay consistent, be up front, maybe not get the victory lane, but be in the top 5. And that's helped propel him in the top 8. I do believe, Phil, that in order to get to Homestead, you're going to have to win a race. But the great thing for Jeff Gordon is he's got 3 races right in front of him that are really good for him. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you, sir. Always good hearing from you. Chip Wild, president of Darlington. Logano, Edwards, Gordon, Bush, Keselowski, Truex Jr., Harvick, and the other Bush. That's your 8 moving into the elimination round. All right, final segment here on Sports Talk on this Tuesday night, a Talking Tuesday. Certainly have enjoyed bringing everything to you from today. Now tomorrow, we've got a little basketball for you. We've got Frank Martin is having a little media gathering tomorrow, and the ACC guys are getting together in Charlotte at the Ritz-Carlton. It is, it's so different between football and basketball and between the ACC and the SEC, how they handle their respective press conferences for their respective sports, their media days. Go back to football. The SEC is all formal. They're all Wall Street, IBM, serious business for their football media days, which now spreads out over 4 days. The ACC is all Palm Beach, laid back, shorts and golf clubs and easy going and how you doing and slap you on the back and come have a Coke with me sort of thing. And then you flip it around. Last week, the SEC Basketball Media Day was held in one room over at a hotel, the Ballantine Hotel. Very nice golf course. It's adjacent or very close to the SEC network headquarters there in Charlotte. So it's convenient for them to do all their video stuff, then come over to this hotel. They have one room. They bring 4 or 5 coaches in at a time. They put them at a table, and you just bounce around from table to table. Very informal.
Speed dating.
Yeah, it's very informal, nothing fancy at all. And, of course, the ACC tomorrow is having theirs downtown at the Ritz-Carlton, and it's big, fancy with all the different setups for the television networks and Radio Row. No Radio Row at SEC Basketball Media Day. No Radio Row set up. ACC, Radio Row set up and all that. It's a totally different – their basketball is like the SEC's football, and the SEC basketball is like the ACC football.
And
so
the biggest
maybe that tells you about the leagues right there.
It is even though he'll be out for a lot of the games, Boeheim is going to be there. I guess.
I would think so. Yeah, the only one's not going to be there is Pitino.
Yeah, what a gutsy guy he is.
What would you ask him, K-Mac, if you were after his opening statement, he opens it up for questions, what would your first question be?
Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you still hired?
Oh, why do you still have a job?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of questions that he should be answering and things that he should be. If he doesn't have anything to hide, look, if he has legitimate, I didn't know, I deal with this, blah, 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 but
that's what he's saying. He's saying he didn't know.
You just got to go. Yeah. You got to go. Face the music.
He is Rick Pitino, and he is, well, you can't really say he's king in that state. I guess he's right there.
But everybody says Calipari's a sleazy guy. That's just it. You have Roy Williams and Rick Pitino, and you have Boeheim and all these. But Calipari, he's a sleazeball.
I'm convinced that Calipari does not have to be a sleazeball now because he's at Kentucky. Now at Memphis and those other stops, yes.
Once a sleazeball, always a sleazeball.
I mean, who's the sleazier ball?
Take your choice. I mean, choose your poison. You know, neither one of them are saints by any means. Anyway, we'll have it covered for you tomorrow here on Sports Talk. We'll see you then.